It's recording.
Um,
First, I would like to thank you for your service in the military.
Well, it was an honor.
Is it okay if you can tell me your life before you entered the service?
Surely, my name is Peter Correa. I was born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and I immigrated to the States fairly young. And then I grew up in Florida. Neither one of my parents had gone to college. But I realized I needed to go to college. So I graduated from high school and eventually ended up getting an appointment to the United States Military Academy at West Point. I was enlisted band first and then got my opportunity to go to West Point. And then I had an Army career of 24 years as an Army officer, traveling throughout the world, and eventually retired from the military and became an educator. And I've been here at Mercyhurst University for the last 4 years. And along the way, I married a beautiful, wonderful woman, and we had 2 great children, and I'm enjoying making education happen here at Mercyhurst.
What was it like growing up in Brazil?
I left when I was fairly young. I've been back a few times, but it's a beautiful country. I'm glad I had the opportunity to live there. And it's absolutely a magnificent place to be. And I visited there quite a few times since I've been an adult. And I had one assignment in the Army back down in Panama, so I was able to be fairly close.
What was your family like?
My current family, both my parents are deceased, but my current family is my wife of 49 years and 2 children who are in their 40s, both married, one on the West Coast and one on the East Coast. And we enjoy each other's company whenever we can get together.
What were your parents like?
They were having immigrated from Brazil. They were different people than I am personally, by virtue of the fact I've had some greater opportunities. Neither one of them had gotten their degrees or any kind of education. And it was a tough sledding there in Florida, to be honest with you.
Did you have any siblings?
No, I did not.
When did you immigrate to the United States?
I was about 3 years old, I think.
Was adjusting to life in a new country difficult?
It was probably more difficult for my parents than me, by virtue of the fact I was just growing up and I was more of a baby than a human being. So yeah, it took some culture shock to be in a different kind of a world than it was down in Brazil.
When did you enlist in the Army?
I enlisted in 1968.
Why did you join up?
I wanted to serve the country, but at the same time, I wanted to get some money via the GI Bill to go to college, because I had no money.
What was basic training like for you?
Terrible. But it was good for me. I went to basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia in 1968. And I'm one of the few people that have also had the opportunity to within the same year, go to both basic training and Beast Barracks at West Point.
Did you make any friends during basic training?
Made some. None of them I still interact with from basic training, because it was a volatile time by virtue of the fact Vietnam was going on.
At one point, were you supposed to be deployed to Vietnam?
Yes, I was heading that way, and then I was offered the opportunity to take an appointment to West Point.
which year you placed in?
I was at the Military Academy Preparatory School in Fort Belvoir, Virginia, before I went to West Point.
What was your rank when you completed basic training?
I'm sorry. Say again?
What was your rank when you completed basic training?
When I completed basic training, I was a private E1. Then I became eventually up to a private first class E3.
Were you deployed overseas?
After I left West Point, I was deployed quite often overseas, both Panama and Germany and through Eastern Europe.
What were you assigned to do?
Various things. I was initially an Airborne Ranger Infantry Officer. And then I also got into the world of finance to help the government with their financial issues and concerns and procurement. And then I ended up back at West Point as a gray-haired colonel, being the treasurer of the university.
Were you any battles or fights?
I was involved with some issues relating to Panama.
What happened?
Just that I was there before and then during the invasion, and then after post-invasion that when we went into Panama.
Were you ever injured?
Not in the Army per se. No, I mean, I was fortunate.
What's one memory from your service that you will never forget?
I think being in Europe, in Germany during the Cold War, when the Berlin Wall was still up, and I was doing quite a bit of work in and around both East Germany and West Germany. That was an interesting time.
After your service, when were you discharged?
I retired in 1996. And since that time, I've been in higher education in various places throughout the United States, and eventually coming here to Erie, Pennsylvania, and being here at Mercyhurst University.
Did you have any long or short-term injuries?
No, I wouldn't say. I mean, I've had some problems with knees and wrists and those kind of things, but nothing long term.
Did you receive any medals or awards?
Yeah, I did. I received quite a few. I'll send you a list of those.
What was your life like after you served in the Army?
Well, like I said, I was in higher education, and since I've been in higher education, that was in Massachusetts for a while, in South Dakota for a while, in Kansas City for a while, and then Atlanta, and then here.
Was the transition from being out of the military difficult?
I wouldn't call it difficult. It was just a transition. It was pretty much, I was aware of changes was going to happen, but I enjoyed the mission of teaching, so it made it easier.
Were there any veteran ceremonies that you went to honoring you?
Yeah, there was a retirement ceremony when I left the service, and of course, whenever I received one of the awards, there would be some ceremonial things happening. But yeah, I was very proud of my service, and the Army treated me very well.
When did you come to Mercyhurst?
Came to Mercyhurst. I think this is my 4th year here.
What made you want to come here?
I enjoy teaching, and I love the intelligence studies aspect of teaching by virtue of the fact that it's very contemporary. It's very much in the news, and it's basically involved things that are happening around us. And I really enjoy the students here.
That was all my questions.
I think the students here are superb. I think it's a good balance, both in terms of size and in terms of how the academic program is done, and it allows me as a professor to do experiential learning where students are actually learning and also learning how.
Okay, that was all my interview questions.
Great. My pleasure. Thank you very much. Very professional.
You're welcome. I'm gonna stop the recording.
Thank you.